Okay, whatever. I feel like this looks bad. I hope you guys are doing well in this self-quarantine. I know I'm not, especially with online classes. My life is just, you know, a tad bit harder, but I'm not totally complaining because there's some advantages. Okay, so as you probably saw from the title, I'm going to be talking about why I chose George Mason. And I've been meaning to record this video for a long time. The thing is, I hate talking videos because one, I hate my voice. My voice is really annoying and high-pitched, I think. Two, I do that ugly, awkward laugh. And three, I feel like I'm just gonna ramble and like lose focus and not really know what to say. So, okay, so I've been getting a lot of messages, literally on Instagram, YouTube of course, Snapchat, and even TikTok from just random people asking me how I feel about George Mason, like how, you know, it is being a student at George Mason, and like why I chose George Mason. So I decided I'm gonna make a whole YouTube video based on those top questions. I feel so honored that you guys reached out to me for advice because yeah, I'm a freshman at George Mason and I love the school, but I feel like I should talk about why I chose George Mason and how it really is, because I really feel like, well, it's kind of a fact that George Mason kind of has a bad rep, or like a lame rep for, you know, being a university, just because it's not okay, so yeah, I feel like George Mason has always had this like lame rep of being, you know, like a boring or lame school. And I don't know why people think that. Like, honestly, okay, never mind. At first, I never wanted to go to George Mason. I grew up in that area where George Mason is, and I never like even thought about going there or applying there until, you know, senior year, I think. And honestly, at the time, my ex was going to George Mason, so that was probably a factor why I wanted to go to George Mason as well. But besides that, I had my top reasons. So I think number one reason is not number one. Okay, these aren't in order. Oh, but they should be in order. Okay, well, obviously, like, I have to go to a university that has my major, and my major is nursing. I'm a pre-nursing student, and the way that works is I have to do my first 2 years doing prerequisites, like freaking biology, microbiology, psychology, an IT class, global understanding, and then the rest is like Mason core / electives. I mean, obviously that's the top reason. I can't go to a university if they don't even offer my major. And so far, I'm not thinking of changing my major. I need to have a backup major because I know getting into the nursing program at like any university is not slight work. It's very competitive, and I am low-key scared that I'm not gonna get in, and I'm gonna have to either apply to another nursing school, which I don't want to. So I guess that's the top reason. I wouldn't consider the rest of my reasons in order, just because I don't know if I'm being honest with myself. So another big reason why I chose George Mason is the proximity to my house. Like I said, I grew up in the area, never thought I would go to George Mason, and then I ended up applying there along with like 3 other universities. I don't know. So, I mean, like I said earlier in the beginning of the video, my ex went there I would go visit him a lot, and I liked the atmosphere there, whether we were just like, you know, in the dorm or eating out or just walking around campus. I thought, like, it felt like an actual university, and I always thought like, oh, George Mason's just a huge commuter school. It's probably super lame. It's probably like an upgrade of Nova. I really liked, you know, the atmosphere, and it was nice being close to home. And I mean, it is nice being close to home, but it's really convenient to have your family and your parents around you. Like, having to go to another, I mean, I was always thinking in-state universities, but having to go to another like whole area, like, it's a whole nother world. You don't know anything over there. I thought that would be really overwhelming for me. Also, another reason for proximity to my house. So right now I am living on campus, and I'm gonna dorm next year too, but I'm planning to just live at home for the remaining 2 years. But I knew, like, if I chose to go to VCU or JMU, I knew I would have to like worry about having to pay for housing all 4 years, whether that was dorming or just like renting an apartment or anything, when I can just live at home and like not have that as an extra stress for me, because, you know, being a full-time college student is already like a huge stress. Like, I get why people want to get away from their parents and, you know, not see them as much, but like, I don't know, I'm really close with my family, so I don't mind them. Another reason why I chose George Mason is because the diversity. Diversity is really important to me. My high school had a lot of diversity in our student body, and like, it was just like a really good experience, because I kind of went to 2 different high schools. The first one was a secondary school, which is not as diverse as my second high school. The student body is made up of 47% white Caucasian and 15% Asian, and then 11% Hispanic Latino students and 10% Black African American, and the rest, I don't know. It is like an important factor for me it is, like, for why I chose George Mason, because I know not all universities have a lot of diversity in their student body. So another reason why I chose George Mason is because of the area, the DC area. I didn't really want to go to JMU because my cousin, who's a year older than me, he goes there, and like, at first that was my top school, even though I don't know if I got in or not. But every time we would go to visit him, since he's a year older, so every time we would go to visit him, I just like did not like the environment, like that area. It looks so like boring to me. But I know they have stuff to do there, but like, just not stuff I would like to do, because I'm like, you know, more of a city person, which I know a lot of city people go to VCU for that area because it's Richmond. But when I went, I didn't like it too much. I think it was too city for me, which I didn't know that about myself. But when I went, I kind of felt overwhelmed. But, you know, everyone's different. So make sure you visit the campuses, because that really makes a difference. I visited all the campuses for the universities that I applied to. And that's how I'm happy that I chose George Mason. Yeah, like I said, I grew up here. There's a bunch of things to do, like literally a ton of things you can think of, and just find a place in this area, especially in DC, but not only in DC, like even the areas around DC. Is George Mason a party school? I guess that's like a really big question that, you know, people my age will ask. I would say it is, even though it may not seem like it. Like, trust me. I've gone to a few with my friends, had a good time, and I mean, in the beginning, I wasn't like thinking at all about parties. I mean, it's not like a crazy party school like, you know, JMU, other schools. So like, I kind of like that. My senior year, I had to take this like college preparatory class, and I had to make a PowerPoint on why I am choosing to go to this college in comparison to these other colleges. And I'm just gonna look at this PowerPoint really quick. I should have said this earlier in the beginning of the video, but I only applied to, I think, 4 universities. Obviously, George Mason, also James Madison, Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, and Marymount. I was more worried about George Mason, and when I got in for early action or early decision, I think it's early action. I applied for early action and I got in and I was really excited. And like as soon as I got in, I was like already ready to pay my deposit because I knew that's where I wanted to go. The size of the school is very important, like especially if you're dorming there. Especially if you're gonna be dorming your first year, like the size of the school is like an important thing to know about your university. George Mason is a quotation very large size school with 23,066 undergraduate students. So for me, I visited Marymount. I didn't like how small the campus was, but I know like some people do like that. So I didn't feel comfortable. I don't even think I was planning to dorm there, but I didn't like the size of it. It made me feel like it just felt like a high school. But I know some people are also looking for that feel in a university. That's something you should know about George Mason. It does not feel like a high school at all. It's a very large campus, and I like that about George Mason. I made a slide about the extracurricular activities. There is a lot of student involvement opportunities at George Mason. For instance, I joined the George Mason cheer team where we cheer for the basketball games, and that was not a plan of mine, but I ended up doing that, and I don't know if I'm going to continue cheering for the rest of college. I found out about this other organization called George Mason Fashion, and I've been wanting to join it. I never had time to this year though, I think because of cheer, but I really want to get involved with that organization. They have a page and they do like cool photo shoots, and I just want to like see what else they're involved in. I think that would like make me really happy if I joined that organization. But there's a ton of organizations, and Greek life as well is like, it's the same as it would be in any other universities. If you are thinking of joining Greek life, I would do it. I was going to rush this semester, but you know, money is it's a lot. I feel like I talked about just basic things, but if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to message me on anything. I hope I was able to help some of you guys narrow your college list down, because May 1st is coming up and you guys got some deposits to pay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching if you stayed like through this whole video of me just babbling. If you guys have any more questions, please comment down below. Please. I will answer them. Yeah. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video, which you guys should be looking forward to. It's gonna be a fun one. Bye. I also forgot to say a good thing. This wasn't a factor as to why I chose George Mason, but a really cool thing about George Mason is our little robots. We have food delivery robots that are super cute, and they are roaming around campus day and night. It's literally an app called Starship, and you can order through your student bucks or through a credit card from like dining places on campus, and they will deliver it to your dorm. Or if you're too lazy, like if you're a commuter and you're too lazy to go get food, you can just have it delivered to whatever building you're in, and that's really cool. I know not every college has that. I know a few colleges are starting to get onto that trend.